you.
Oh, Dixie is too. Thanks,
Now,
Dixie.
Adam, do you want to start us off and talk about some stuff that's been going on lately?
Me?
You're here. You're the person everyone wants to hear from. So
So much pressure.
I know, right?
Well, if you can hear me, you can
It's hard
probably...
to be that cool, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, if you guys can hear me, you can probably hear that my voice is no longer crackling up every 30 seconds.
It's
more
very
frequently.
clear. Yeah, very clear.
Yeah, and the voice is all spatial, and we're about to break voice again this evening because I just did another box upgrade. So tomorrow I get the fun round of fixing that again. There's some video floating around. I think that I gave it to Digvijay, and I don't know if it's gone on the blog yet. Probably not. But we had, how many avatars in the scene was it? Like 1,000 avatars in a test scene the other day.
Yeah.
And by the other day, I mean like 2 days ago.
Wow.
Yep, a lot of avatars in a scene, and the cool thing is that there is some exceptions to this, and we've got to reprocess everyone's content to take advantage of it. But we've got avatar loading as a zero lag process now. You will notice this in 2B72 and newer.
What wizardry is this?
This wizardry, we've been migrating all of our avatar loading code over to Unity's new burst compiler. And it is very, 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 very fast. It is the fastest that Sciencebase has ever run on loading avatars. The speed up is somewhere in the realm of 100 times faster. The avatar reprocessing code, or processing code that we do in an avatar, we generally do a couple of passes. There's 4 passes now. There used to be 3. Pass 1 was just loading the skeleton. Pass 2 was loading the clothing, and pass 3 was sort of refining the clothing, which was the fitting process. Those 3 phases are still the same, except we've got now like a pass 0 where we actually load a temporary diamond-shaped thing that appears before the avatar even begins to load. So we load that first, but the other steps are the same. Nonetheless, the previous 3 steps took, roughly speaking, loading the skeleton maybe a second at the very most, usually a lot faster than that. Loading the clothing, that might take maybe 2 or 3 seconds, and then loading the refining took sort of like 2 minutes. The process for that now is that loading the base skeleton, that still takes probably about 50, 100 milliseconds. Loading the clothing, that now is somewhere in the realm of about 50 milliseconds, give or take, so that's already substantially faster. And the refining part, the bit that took sort of like up to 2 minutes per avatar to finish, that now loads reliably in about 3 seconds, a bit shorter actually, 2.5 seconds. So that speed up is huge, and it means that loading big crowd scenes isn't faster as it used to.
When is that going to get into a preview or a preview viewer?
So I actually have 2B73 sitting on my desk, because that came off our build server last night. The viewers, I think, are due to be updated before Monday, because we're going to be giving this one a good shakedown test run. We've got a test scheduled in for, I think, either Thursday or Friday next week, where we're getting 500 paid testers to fire it up and really try and break it, which is going to be exciting, because I want to see this in action. That sort of brings together a lot of other bits and pieces. Yeah. So, well, look, we've got some comments on the spatialization. Yeah, look, the spatialization actually is customizable by the region owner. We're probably going to fiddle around with this one a bit more. We need to probably work out exactly what the right ranges and things for spatial audio actually is. What I really want to do is I want to sort of have the, right now the fall off curve is kind of like an S curve. It sort of starts high, falls off a little bit, then sort of falls off a lot after a preset distance. But I think what we need to do is we need to expand the radius, and we also need to make it so it's a bit more of a sudden fall off, go in and out of voice ranges so it stays louder for longer. This is one of those things that more comes down to usability than realistic.
Yeah, and as you said, it varies a lot by region. Some regions you want a very tight voice radius, and some regions you may want, 40 everybody to hear you within 40 meters, and so there's a default, but it's really gonna get the best out of it. Then individual region owners need to customize their region for the best results.
Also, the voice volume controls can help a bit as well. You can pull it up.
Oh yeah, which we have dedicated volume panel now.
We do have a dedicated volume panel. We'll probably get some more controls there as well. It's probably good from a usability perspective to be able to switch off the bulk of the spatialization as well. Maybe it's a good idea that we just simply have it as a, you can raise the volume if you can hear them at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was brought up in
this viewer, is you
sorry.
can't see who's talking apart from the.
Yeah, we can actually control the. Oh, sorry, somebody was talking there. I could barely hear them.
So whereabouts are you? Can you bunch up a bit?
Yeah, let's bunch up a bit. I'll move.
Basically, what I've just noticed, I've only just noticed this about 271 is can't see who's talking. There's nothing appearing on anybody's head.
Yeah, that's something we're actually working on. Is this new Vivox update? For some reason, audio energy gets sent to us when you start talking and when you stop talking, but it's not sending in between. So you actually can see when somebody starts to talk, it just fades off after that, even if they're still talking.
And the mouth controls are a bit weird as well. I don't know if it looks the same to everyone else, but my avatar's with a big open smiley mouth stuck in that position now.
It's actually calibrated, or they were at one point calibrated for appropriate audio energies, but now the audio energies are different. It's probably going straight to.
Yeah, well, I think the problem is actually just because it gets that initial audio, so the mouth opens.
That's what it is. Yeah.
And then because it never gets an audio energy update after that, the mouth never continues to change shape. It just opens and then stays there. So if we can fix the audio energy coming in, that'll actually fix the mouth at the same time.
Cool.
Which might be something that you can look at in the update you're doing right now, Adam, because the way you're splitting out the streams, it may be that we're getting audio energy in a completely different way now than we were before.
Oh, we will be getting the actual reliable audio energy. Right now, the mouth calculations and things are all reduced to a single number. We get a number which represents sort of how loud you are when you're talking. And we sort of mix that in with some random numbers and do a little bit of procedural animation and figure out sort of roughly the mouth state. It's not an accurate mouth state, but it's fooled people enough that it was fine. But the way we're getting the video or the audio as we will tonight is we'll be getting the actual audio samples. We've got the audio buffers to play with, and that means that we can actually do proper analysis on it. So we can actually do phoneme analysis on phoneme. It's one of those words. We can actually do analysis on what's actually being said as well. So we can do more than just simple volume calculations. We've got in the avatar blend shapes for the common mouth shapes. So when you sort of Google the way people talk, you'll find that there's various shapes of the mouth for common sounds. So like oo and e have two very distinctive face shapes. That level of analysis is going forward. But for now, it means that we can move audio into the engine, which is something that right now we've had problems with every audio provider we've dealt with so far. The audio energy the audio gets outputted to the sound card separately from the main application. So it's not sort of the engine itself that gets control of the audio, but now we've actually got the audio in the engine. That means that things like audio volumes work. So in Unity, you can actually make things called audio reverb zones, which you can make sort of an area sound like a cave or like a padded room or whatever else you like. And with that information, you can make much more realistic environments for audio. And in theory, voice should work with those now, whereas they previously haven't.
Or they will work with like 2B74 or something, whatever the next build is.
Yeah, whatever the final viewer number is, the build server shall determine that. That's the other cool thing that not cool thing, but something we've been working on
useful thing
quite some time. We now have the ability to upload preview viewers directly off our build server with no human intervention for at least Windows and Linux. We do have Mac up there, but the Mac requires a quite complicated signing process that still requires a human hand to build. But there's an
Yeah, that could be really.
my gatekeeper. So that's also some. Yeah, there's a lot of viewers. We're getting very, very close to getting this out the door as well. I think that everyone in the organization really wants to get 2B70 something or 2B something at all onto the live server. I think we definitely want to. The avatar loading performance improvements are a huge deal. It really does make a night loading. In fact, 2B71 does already have several of those loading improvements. You will notice that Avatar, some parts of the Avatar loading are optimized in 2B71, but 72 is the one that gets rid of all of the loading steps. We've got like 90% of the Avatar loading now happening through the burst compiler, which is quite cool.
What's the purpose
Yeah,
of this
so there
bar?
we go. That's my
bar.
brief introduction for the week.
What's the purpose of
Sorry,
this bar when you hover over an avatar? Bar expands above the head.
That is actually a new feature that we've been working on. Might need a little bit of refining, but if you hover over, like for example, Adam, you'll see that when you do, additional information pops up for him that doesn't necessarily pop up for everybody else.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or you as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't hover over myself, but yeah, if you hover over me, there's information as well, and I believe Paul has some, has it as well. So it's something that's been a frequent request from a variety of clients and stuff to be able to have more profile information readily visible rather than having to dig into the profile. And it's something that we will probably expose in some way to the public grid profiles as well. Although that needs some consideration as to how free form and whether we need to put profiles on it or other things like that. But it's probably something that we'll be opening up in some capacity in the future as well. Yeah, that number is totally legit too. You should call it. Yeah. So well, I guess something I'm working on right now actually is trying to sort out why the Space Navigator kind of clunked out on us on the 2B series viewers. I know there was some talk about it not rotating correctly on the 1B series viewers, and I believe that was fixed earlier in the year, but for some reason on the 2B viewers, I think it stopped accepting input, and that's something that Adam and I were looking at this morning as well. So
it's probably my fault.
Yeah, it probably is Adam's fault. I wasn't going to say it, but
because Adam breaks.
Yeah, me fixing a memory leak may have broken it, so hopefully we don't have to bring the memory leak back to fix it. Yeah,
hopefully we'll do. We can have both the fixed memory leak, because the Space Navigator driver is actually pretty old. On the asset store, it says Unity 5 or better. So it hasn't been updated by 3D Connection in quite some time, but it still works. You can load it into any 2018 project, like with our editor pack, and you can use it straight in the editor. So there's something that got tweaked in just the viewer portion of the code that is preventing it from loading properly. But I think we can sort it out pretty quickly this afternoon. And so we should be able to have the Space Navigator back and rotating correctly, which was the issue on 1B.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. I love my Space Navigator. I just don't get to use it very much.
Yes, it's great. It's just it's such a it's like gaining an extra couple of pairs of hands on your mouse kind of thing to manipulate, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's great.
Your normal mouse has realistically 2. You could argue 3 with the scroll wheel axes. It's nothing like the 6 you get from the Space Navigator. It's pretty incredible when it just kind of slots right into the perfect use for it. I know it's kind of a niche device. Not a lot of people have one, but if you don't have one, I would highly encourage you to get one. It's very enjoyable way to explore, even if you're not doing machinima or anything like that.
Yeah. It's great. It's just a revelation.
Yeah, it's literally a mouse designed to move around 3-dimensional space instead of 2-dimensional space, which is what a traditional mouse is for. It's meant to go left and right and up and down on your screen. It was not originally intended to move you around in a 3-dimensional space, whereas this is.
Yeah,
4-dimensional. I would love a 4-dimensional mouse.
I'm not quite sure how that would work.
Let's say I need to go back and forward through time now.
Yeah,
it's kind of roll or scroll that out of your screen in front of you. That would be awesome.
Changed roles in the viewer, added a load more features in there. And one of the things I always wanted was to be able to walk and pan at the same time. And now I've noticed you've put fly reverse in there, which actually should allow you to walk and pan at the same time, because it puts the fly onto the
Yeah.
left button instead of the right. But it doesn't, because I'm on
Yeah,
it
it
now,
snaps
and
back.
no, it just stops you walking. So now I'm panning around my character
You're already
and
on?
walking.
What version number are you on? Are you on 71?
71, and look, if I walk along, as soon as I hit the right button, it stops the character walking.
That was
can.
fixed. It's come back. Okay,
Okay.
we need to fix that one again.
Well, Adam will fix that because he knows where it is, and it's actually a request
know where
we've
it
had
is, but-
from quite a few people. We'll give it to somebody to fix anyway.
Yeah, Eric was the one who moved all the camera controls into the settings instead of my hidden little button. So I might get him.
Well, in his defense, if you turned off the camera tooltips, you couldn't find your button anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fine. So we'll fix that. It apparently was fixed and must have got lost in one of the commits to move it over. Maybe Eric forgot to update before committing, but we'll sort it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Should be a
nice
pretty
the
easy
feature
one
was
to-
there anyway.
Yeah,
other
it's
camera
been a
controls.
request I've gotten from some other people as well. So if we could do that, where you could walk and orbit your avatar while walking, it would be make a lot of people very happy.
In the old days, it was just on F4 on 4 of the even.
Are you saying I'm able to hold forward key down and then tap right and turn left and right? That's
We're talking about
working.
moving the camera while walking.
Oh,
Adam's trying it right now to see if his shiny viewer has
It works if you hold down both. No, wait, hold on. Hold on. I just had that working. Yeah, there was. I had both the bug and it working. Let me see if I can figure this out.
Adam's going to take a dive at it here. You've got him curious now.
Let's see. Yep, so that's definitely not working. Yep, that's
I mean,
not
the
working.
left button is working. It is going into fly mode.
We'll figure it out. Sure, it's something simple.
I think Rob is making a point about the spatial sound. I like it actually, but I think for conferences like this, rather than have the region builder have to upload a region that spatializes or not, it would be nice if down the road you have a button to click that says go flat audio for so the presenter can say flat audio and then spatial.
Yeah, well, again, that's very very region specific. Like in this region, yeah, it probably makes more sense to not have spatial turned on, just because that is the primary purpose of this region. But we have mixed use regions where there's like an auditorium space like this, but then there's like a wider showroom floor, and in that case, it's actually controlled by the voice zone component. So you can have within the same region, you can have one area that's spatial, one area that's not spatial, one area that's has no stereo, the left and right, but still does the distance fall off, that kind of thing.
Joshua, that makes sense. What I'm saying is, can you not have a button here in the assembly that you can click, go spatial, toggle it, go flat, instead of having to parcel the assembly into different areas down the road, down the road.
On the client.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to have like it wouldn't hurt to have a setting in like the region control panel where
probably in the new volume panel actually.
Yeah.
I mean, there's two ideas. One is that we can have people control it for themselves locally, and we could also have something in the region panel where the region owner could potentially change the defaults without having to upload a new region, like just grab a template or whatever and be able to customize the default audio settings without having to re-upload the actual region itself.
Yeah, but I can see the point of the spatial sound very clear, because I had a campfire once in one of my regions and I could hear it when I was like over at maybe, I don't know how far away. I could still hear the crackling of the fire. So I see that spatial for that one, but it will bite you in the behind as a company for audio conference and that kind of stuff. It will really bite you in the behind, I'm sure.
Actually, most of the people we have using the platform for like events and stuff actually wants the spatial in there. They like I said, we typically have mixed use regions set up where we have, like I said, an auditorium space like this where speakers are speaking to the crowd, and in those spaces we turn the spatial off so everybody can hear the same whether they're sitting in the back row or the front row. But outside of that presentation space, almost everybody wants the rest of the region to be spatialized so you can drift between groups and not hear 40 or 50 people talking at once. You can control who you're listening to based on where you move around and who you're near.
I'm going to try one more time because I feel like the point I'm trying to make is getting lost. But in Verbella, to mention a competitor, the presenter up front has a control panel that he turns spatial off and on, so that when the speakers are huddling, what are we going to tell them today? What are we going to tell them today? He turns spatial off. Only people that are up there right next to them in the huddle can hear what we're going to tell them today, what we're going to tell them today. Then, boom, top of the hour, he clicks spatial. He says, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another adventure in excellence in office hour. Today's topic is 2B71. And nobody has to move in and out of the region to go to the special to the other.
You could already do that if you wanted to.
What I'm asking, is it technically possible or not possible to build that?
Yeah.
I don't expect it now. I'm not asking for it now.
It is possible to build that right now with the voice zone components. Exactly what you're talking about, and nobody has to move. It is possible to do that with the voice zone components right now. If you're talking about making that a global built-in viewer option for all voice zones, technically possible, but there's no UI for it. But right now, nothing stops you from making like your own canvas and using the voice zone components and doing exactly what you're talking about. Just have a button.
So
that says,
as long as a region builder builds it, it can be done.
Or it can be dropped in as a furniture object. Also, there's no reason it has to be directly built into the region.
Well, then I could just buy it in the shop.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. Thank you. That's all I needed to know.
That is certainly possible to do. It would probably take 20 minutes to set up some like a simple on-off button and the voice zone component to do it and upload it and you would just position and resize the voice zone component over the area that you wanted to have the toggle happen on, and whether that's the whole region or just a specific spot or whatever, because the voice zones can be global as well, so you can do that. But yeah, what you're talking about is certainly possible to do right now. It says you can share everyone without your headset on 2B71. That's fine if you're not using a headset. Yeah, you don't necessarily have to build. It doesn't have to be built. Anything that can be built into a region can also be built as a furniture object, as a general rule. Like there's no component that I can think of that only works in regions and not as a furniture item. There's no functional difference as far as the viewer is concerned. If you drop in a furniture item, it's now part of the region. Those components will function just the same.
Yeah, we were talking and noticing the sort of placed items, upload items, and Green Leo actually lag quite a bit of time. Like when you teleport in here, walk all the way to the pond and the campfire, and I got a high-end computer and good broadband, and you get there, none of the logs campfire reses for a couple of seconds. And
yeah, if it's a furniture item, it will load after the fact. The region's going to load first, and then the furniture items will stream in afterwards after the region's loaded. So that's the only real difference. Is at some point it may they'll load asynchronously. But how long something takes to load
at the moment, almost Second Life bad gap.
Well, that's going to depend largely on like how good your internet connection is, more than how good your computer is. Although that plays a little bit into it. I think the work that Adam's been doing, optimizing both the loading code and the shader code that we're using, will hopefully improve that in the future. We do
what
need
I'm trying to say is I can have a region with all of those items that I've uploaded myself as a region, and it loads instantly. That's what I'm saying. So you can have two regions. One's been uploaded with all. One region's been uploaded terrain and those items being put on that region being put in much slower load than one that's uploaded with all the same items. That's good. Fine.
Okay, you're breaking up a little bit there, so I'm not sure if I got all of that. But it sounds like you're saying when you upload the region and go directly to the region, it loads quickly. But when you go, or were you saying when you upload it in piecemeal, it loads slower than when you upload it as a whole thing?
If you upload a whole region, regions I've uploaded before, they're just on preview. I can go to them and go instantly to them. And what we were discussing at Green Layer earlier is what it seems like is you could upload exactly the same region, but have taken loads of the objects out and put those on the market separately, and then put them back into your region from the market. The region is loading a lot slower.
That will be the case, yeah. There's a variety of reasons for that. There's overhead with having everything packaged up individually that you don't get in the region. If you upload everything all at once together in the region, some additional optimization can happen because everything's all in the same package. That can't happen if they're all in individual packages, or at least is much more difficult in individual packages. That's something that we've been working on. Yeah.
That's to do with shaders, which are something that I have talked about repeatedly, so I won't bang that drum too much, but it's to do with shader overheads. Basically, when you've got the region uploaded that way, we can strip out, I think it's about 80 to 90% of the shaders, shader overheads on the objects in it, whereas when you're doing it as furniture, we've got to package all of them because we don't know where the object is going to be used in advance. Some of the work we'll be doing to move towards what we're calling the new shader light framework. That basically makes it irrelevant. They both load at the same time. They both have the same subsets, which improves performance very dramatically when it comes to loading. It's one of the big reasons why we're able to get 1,000 users in the region, because clothing has exactly the same problems.
Yeah, I wasn't complaining about it. I was just bringing it up in case you guys.
Yeah. No, we certainly know about it. At some point in the future, and this is nebulous timeframes because I have no idea what emergency is going to occupy all my time next week. But at some point in the future, I'm sort of aiming in the next couple of months is I want to redo our loading code completely. That's going to be a very sizable change on a number of factors, but one of the goals of that is actually to strip out the need for processing servers. We'll still have them, we'll still use them, but I want to get them doing their job a lot faster. I think that with some careful work, we can knock processing times down to like 30 seconds instead of it being minutes to hours, depending on complexity.
Yeah, at the moment it's been creeping up there. Like I ran a test earlier and noticed that 2018 takes about twice as long to process as 2017 does at this point for the same region. So it's getting to be
the other email first, the 17 one.
Yeah, usually well in advance. And the bigger the region is, the more disparity is there.
Yeah, and that's because Unity keeps adding new shader variants onto the system.
Yeah,
it is all coming back to shaders, which are my.
You can't always trust those emails though, because the other day I got a load of emails.
You should be able to generally trust them. They should broadly come in because they don't get sent.
I already had something up on live, and then I got an email 2 days later saying.
Oh, it was delayed. Yeah, delayed can happen. That depends a bit on email providers. The world of transmitting email is far more complicated than you might think. It all comes down to sort of trust, and if for some reason an ISP decides not to trust you, they might delay your emails for 12 hours or something just randomly. It is a whole bunch of fun.
Generally,
it's
okay.
not my problem.
just a little bit confusing with the two servers because I have only recently started tests and uploading stuff again. Noticed that straight away.
Yeah, well, hopefully it won't be too confusing for much longer. Hopefully, because as soon as we get the 2017 or the 2018 viewer out, then the 2017 processors are going away entirely, and you won't be getting that second message from them. You'll just be getting the 2018 message. Although, having said that, we are planning to almost immediately turn on 2019 processors, maybe even 2020 processors. We're still debating about that. So it'll switch out from 17 to 19, but at the moment, the one that matters is 18.
What does that mean? What version of Unity is 2020?
It's 2020.
Yeah.
No, I know, but the viewer is usually the year before, isn't it? Like the 2020 would be the Unity.
It's confusing. No, we're running the 2020 viewers that we're doing are built off the 2018 Unity engine.
Yeah,
which-
that's our version number, not Unity's version number.
Yeah.
Yeah. So does that mean that these new ones you're talking about are up to 2019?
If we get them out this year, they will be 2020.3.
Oh wow, because yeah, there's lots of things
Yeah.
that have been released from 2019 upwards, like cutting holes in terrains. Oh,
Yes, there is a
multiple
couple of
screens
nice things
now.
sitting in there.
And
the-
Allenbeck file support. I can't wait for that.
So which file format?
It's Ellenbeck or Ellenbeck is
Oh,
it's
Olympic.
basically
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
you record simulations and stuff.
Yes, yeah. The only thing you got to watch out for those is they produce monster file sizes. Besides the file sizes, it's wonderful. You can do a
That's
lot with
something
that.
I want to play with, because you could probably have like water simulation.
Yes,
don't know
yes,
how.
that's exactly the kind of thing it's great for. Is
Okay.
you rig up some monstrously complicated physics simulation in Houdini and then bake it out to an Alembic file, and it
Yeah.
performs quickly. The runtime
It's
performance
it's
is
just huge.
yeah.
You
it's-
put it for a
I just-
shader,
what-
I think, as well, don't you? I think you actually run it through a shader. I can't.
You
Because they've
can
been talking about
use,
it over on Amplify a bit. There's already something
Yeah.
on GitHub for it, so you can actually do it on 219.
Yeah, so there's a Vertex animation shader you can use instead of doing it through the native Alembic format. The native Alembic format actually stores frames, so it actually stores every single frame of the animation as a discrete mesh. So you sort of end up with these things with 1,000+ meshes representing every single frame of the animation, which is obviously, yeah, that's why its file size is huge. The Vertex animation translation, instead, what it does is it looks for vertices that survive between frames and just animates those vertices using an animation track that's stored in a texture file. That lowers the file size very dramatically. That
I would
sort of cuts
imagine,
out,
Yeah.
which makes it a lot more usable. But you're still storing a lot of data. These things are not small, even when.
Yeah, I
So
don't know
level of
whether you're going to ever be able to use it actually on a region, but it's
You might be able to. I mean, it depends on the resolution of what you're doing. That's really what it comes down to, is that the higher the resolution, the more vertices in your mesh, the more it sort of blows up. But if you've got something that's only like 1,000 vertices, then the actual overall file size for an animation may not be terrible. Like a looping water animation would probably be perfectly fine. Might use up sort of like 60, 100 meg worth of data, but that's acceptable.
So, can I just clarify what you were saying about the new viewer? The 2020 viewer is coming out soon, or the editor pack for the 2020 Unity
Okay,
editor
well,
is coming out soon?
Yeah, I understand the numbers there are confusing, so let me see if I can make it simple here. We currently have like Sciencebase like 2B71, for example.
Right.
That is what we consider a 2020 viewer. So that's Sciencebase 2020 2B71. And that number 2020 on the viewer has nothing to do with which version of Unity it's running on top of. Currently, our 2020 viewer right now, 2B71, is running on top of Unity 2018. We're hoping to upgrade that relatively quickly to Unity 2019 or maybe even Unity 2020 by the end of the year, because it's not
Okay.
a big leap the way it was from 2017 to 2018. And so our version will continue to be 2020 through the end of the year, but the version of Unity that's underneath that may change over the course of the next few months.
Okay. So why is it 2019 2B71 right now?
It's 2020 2B71.
2020 2B71. Let me look.
Right.
Or it should be, unless someone's.
Yeah, should be, unless somebody messed something
Yes,
up.
it
But
is.
that should always be the for us, our version numbers, that's going to be the year in which that viewer was built and released. So that's 2020 for us. But again, that's not connected to the version of Unity that's running underneath it. We've actually been talking recently about whether we should switch the way we version just to make it less confusing, because us using years and Unity using years
Oh,
causes
there
this
it's
confusion.
changed. Okay. I see now it has changed. 2B59 was 2019 2B59.
Yeah.
It is now
I asked that to
2020
be updated.
2B71. I get it. Okay. All
Yeah,
is clear now.
Yeah. The real version number, the one that actually truly matters, is the last currently 4 digits in
Yeah.
71. Now it's 5 digits. That's the sort of the R9989. That bit is actually the bit that really matters. That's the one that actually tells you what version it really is. But we can't really sort of release a product with version 10,050 or whatever it is. Yeah.
That's actually very normal for software. I mean, you'll see some software sometimes. You open it up and it's like, this is version 12, and you look deeper and it's like it's 12.47.398. 14265. It's like, well, at some point they have to truncate that down to make it usable.
No, it makes
Start
sense
calling
now
it
because it makes sense now.
Names like Android, like.
Yeah, we actually talked about that as well, but then it becomes confusing, like with Mac OS. Like somebody's like, "Yeah, I'm on Leopard and I'm on Lion." Well, which one's the higher one? Nobody really knows. At least with Android, you know that it's alphabetical, which helps a lot. You can at least compare the first.
I didn't realize they're alphabetical.
Yeah, on Android,
all,
like
all suites, aren't they? They're all.
Yeah, they're all suites,
Yeah.
but they're all based on the alphabet. So if you go look at all of the Android versions that were named, you'll see that the first one starts with an A, the second one starts with a B, and so on. And so you can actually tell which one's newer based on the very first letter in the name. Where does that fall in the alphabet?
I didn't actually ever clock that, and I've been Android for years now.
So the second half of my question was, and I was just looking here very quickly at the SDK, the alphas. Is there a new one coming out for 2020 Unity or 2019 Unity, or is that in the?
Yeah,
we will be releasing a Unity 2019.3 or 0.2 EP as well. Yeah, that is definitely planned. I think some people have tried to use the 2018 version, and I think it mostly works, but it may not be quite where it needs to be. We don't have an official 2019 release yet for the editor pack. We do have internal 2019 viewers though, which have a number of really nice improvements to them, just performance wise.
Cool.
What happened about the HDRP?
I can talk about that one.
Yeah, that's Adam's territory.
It was
that's my territory.
Roadmap for this year. I know it got.
Yeah. So Unity keep breaking HDRP, which is a little bit annoying. They keep breaking URP as well. Every release of it seems to break compatibility with the previous release, which is not really the sort of kind of stable situation that we want to be in. I don't want to be fixing compatibility issues. So we are maintaining compatibility with it in a test branch. We've got a materials loading system. We are doing some work there. The short answer is I'm not going to touch it until we've got 20 these latest viewers out the door before we go into getting HDRP and URP running. The big thing that I want to get solved is how we handle materials. I will probably do the new loading system before I do the render pipeline upgrade. And the reason for that is that one of the big objectives that I have for the next sort of 6 months is completely dropping Unity's materials system. I love Unity's material system. It's fantastic, but it is performance-wise, it is so easy to blow things up. So what I want to do is I want to actually build our own material system that still, from the editor pack perspective, it's the same. But from our perspective, we can load shaders and shader variants independently of a material, which means that we could have sort of our own basic lightweight shaders that run unless you explicitly need a custom shader. And by doing that, that means that we can then make that one standard material work with all the render pipelines. And that way that when we bridge content between render pipelines, we're not doing complicated shader translation, which simplifies things dramatically. Now, the problem there is we need to add support for custom shading. And the answer to that one is we may end up just going down the route of using Unity's shader graph for all custom shaders. But we'll work out a way to get the bulk of existing custom shaders into a shader graph. That would be something we do. But once it's there, it's sort of like shader graph only from there. Because shader graph makes it a lot easier to support multiple render pipelines simultaneously. Not completely, but it certainly makes it a lot easier. because we've got access to the way the shader works in a way that can be understood by a program, whereas existing shaders, because they're freeform text file programs, parsing and manipulating them is quite complicated, whereas shader graph, you've only got so many nodes, so many types, so many connections. All of those can be easily understood.
That would be good, definitely. I know, and you are right about it being stable. I know asset development.
Yeah. So anyway, go back to the original root question: is when we'll do that. It'll be probably after I do the loading stuff. I feel like the loading stuff is higher priority because it will speed up just general loading performance. It means we can load a lot more stuff simultaneously. It means we can load a lot more stuff faster with less parsing, and it means that we're less subject to the whims of when Unity wants to unpack and process a shader. Yeah. Cool. All right. Next questions.
Let's just scroll through the backlog here. Did we miss any here? I'm not seeing anything. If we missed your question, please feel free to drop it in again, because sometimes it does get lost in the backdrop. Sean waves. No, we're not all science-based employees. Some of us are. Some of us are just science-based enthusiasts here.
I think for employees, or that we all should have a name tag above us that says staff now.
Yeah, the A means what? Admin, administrator, I
Yeah.
guess. So yeah, if you see an A, that person is an employee. Otherwise, they're not.
I guess my question is, are you going to be coming back regularly, you two, for the tech hour side of office hour, or maybe once a month, or?
Yeah, I'd like to come back as often as possible. It's been it's a really crazy month right now, and the community team kind of shifted into the role of managing this meeting. So they line up the guests each week, and as far as the agenda goes, so I'm all alone. We're here because they said, hey, can you guys be our guests this week? But we certainly would like to be here at least, once or twice a month at the least, just because I think it's useful to have. It's useful. I think interesting to have creators on. Like I know you had Uli on here before and stuff like that, and that's that there's a lot of value to be gotten from that. But I think it's also we don't want to be absent from it either.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Go ahead your question. That's fine.
Is that okay for me? Okay. I'm just walking around testing the spatial sound, and it's really, really nice. Is there, and I've been looking in settings to see if maybe there was an option. I know, of course, you just put it in, and now I want an option to say get sound as if it were all over instead of spatial. Will there be an option to click it on and off?
We actually were talking about that about 20 minutes ago, I think.
Okay, I thought it took me about 20 minutes to actually load everything for some reason today, and so I figured I got in just at the end of that. Okay, then you answered that question.
The short version is we're looking at a variety of customization to options, and one of those may be I don't want to be spatialized personally. I want to hear everybody. We may add a personal toggle for that.
Okay, good. I did hear the end of that, and the answer was it's coming. So good.
Yeah. Basically, that's the answer. Is the UI on that is still evolving, both for the region creators and for users who may want to opt out of that.
Cool.
Hey, Josh, coming back to the being guests, I think that's been working really well. Personally, I feel the community team is running 2 events a week now. This is the second one, and they have the guests, like you said. Shulaine was one, and I volunteer Galen to be one. Don't kill me, Galen.
What?
As part of that, I think it would be great if we residents help. If we residents help Les and the team kind of give you guys, I guess, a two-way thing. Things you want to feature next time you're a guest, right? Like knowing that you really wanted to highlight 71 was a great theme for today. And I think it would help you also. You're not coming just for a bunch of random questions. Chance to say, here's what we want to show off at this guest visit. So I guess what I'm saying is I think the format was great, and I'm not worried whether you have a rigorous schedule of coming in once a week or once a month or whatever. I trust the community team to take care of that because they're getting feedback from us, believe you me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then they come to you and say,
Yes.
okay, guess what your next topic is, you guys. So I think that's working out well. I just wanted to give a kudos to everybody.
Okay, great. It's something we definitely want to have, as much of this sort of interactive sort of event programming as possible, because you guys are the reasons we're here and we're doing this, right? So we want to hear from you as much as possible, and if this is working great, then it's something that we will continue to refine and that sort of thing. But when we find something that works, then yeah, let's do it. But yeah, I think to your point, having sort of a topic coming in is not necessarily a bad idea. Like if we decide, and maybe the community can like you say can weigh in on it and not say, we would really like to have an office hours on this topic. Then maybe that's something that the community team can take and run with and go, oh, we know somebody who's available to cover that topic this week or whatever.
Yeah. Alicia asks in the chat if she wanted to create clothing or shoes for the science-based avatar, should she import the avatar into Blender and build the items around the mannequin?
That's the most common workflow. Going that particular way. It's pretty straightforward. If it's fitted to the avatar, then it'll fit and it'll work with all the clothing resizing tools and things that we've got.
You should be able to import it into like Marvelous Designer as well if you want to use something like that. I mean, you should be able to take our avatar and import it into whatever workflow software you use. Personally, I think Marvelous Designer is actually legitimately marvelous. It's quite fun to use, and you could import our avatar straight in there and build the cloth on top of it as well.
Yeah, it's so expensive though, and they've just.
It is.
Yeah,
it's a very
it should be quite
expensive
pricey.
tool, that one.
They're removing the perpetual licenses.
Oh, really?
They did
Okay.
a discount on them last year for Black Friday, so there's a good chance they might do the same this year.
A good idea to keep your eye out for an annual discount. I didn't realize they were removing the perpetual on them.
Are only going to be updated for the next till Marvelous Designer 12, and then that's it. They don't. So if you spent £500, you're only going to get till Marvelous Designer 12, and that's not.
Huh. All right. Well,
I hate it when companies do that.
It's certainly. Yeah, I agree. It's certainly not going to stop working. I mean, so you still have the software.
You can still log in and that. You just won't get any updates after 12.
Right. Yeah. So you just won't get Marvelous Designer 13 when it comes out.
Yeah.
It's always annoying when companies switch their licensing profile and force you into a whole new setup. I really hate that about like Microsoft Office, and Adobe Creative Suite going to this online subscription format where you have to pay monthly to get use of their software. I hate that.
Yeah.
Although saying that though, there's Blender has exactly the same type of cloth simulator, and
it does. Yeah, it's not as easy to use, but it does.
Yeah,
have
but that's
that,
what I was
that
about
cloth
to say.
simulator.
There's about 4 plugin creators that are bringing out ones that are as easy as used.
Oh, really? Okay, well that's something I'm interested in actually.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, there are.
Cloth Weaver. There's two main ones that will let you make templates and stuff.
Somebody's setting off fireworks here apparently.
Right.
Yeah, and the newest Blender 2.9 is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Really is. And you can use it in Unity and open the blend file now with a double click, and you don't have to worry about actually adding it to your player settings or your build settings the way you used to. Yeah.
Very, very cool. Okay, yeah, great. You should be able to import our avatar into their Blender, no problem then, and just go with it.
It does. The 2015 avatar gives you the basic shape, and it's a lot lighter when you import it. But if you need the detail, the 2017 avatar is really nice. Really gives you the
that's a good tip.
Mm-hmm.
Also, saying that, actually, if you go into the resources channel on Discord, right up to the top, there's a 217 female rigged character that I rigged ages ago. Could possibly use because it's got all sorts of special pose. I forgot what they call them, but they're special. It took me 2 weeks to make.
Oh, is that the blend shapes?
No, it allows you. It's got inverse kinetics on it, and but it's also got controls. So you can grab certain parts that aren't attached to the avatar and drag them, and things like the foot will go up into a. But
Oh.
different things will happen. The hands will clench, so it
Can
make
you
a fist.
Can you post that again?
Well, it's at the top
I think
of
it's
the
in the
resource
resources channel.
channel.
Isn't
At
it?
the top
Right
of
at
the
the
resource
top, yeah.
file.
Just go
Okay.
right to
I'll
the top, and you'll see Zuland's in space.
go now and look. Yep. Okay.
You and your sin space.
Sign space.
That's all right. We'll let it slide.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got about 10 minutes left here. Does anybody have any other questions they want to throw at us here?
Oh,
There's somebody who's like a giant like ape man who's off running around in the desert around the perimeter and not probably can't hear us at all.
What's
Yeah.
in the FPS counter, which I only discovered actually exists today while we were over at Green Lear, and it's
Sure.
quite cool. But what in the bottom right corner that just before it says like it's a little flashing thing on mine. It looks like it's got an exclamation mark and a 71 and then MB. What does that actually mean?
It's
After
to
red
do
dot.
with the size of the memory stack at that point in time. So it's actually to do with memory allocations.
Oh, it's weird.
Yeah,
It sort of
it,
sticks where it is though. Over at Green Lear, it was at 50 for me, and now it's at 70.
yeah, it's going to
Well,
depend on what the content is in the region.
oh, actually, no, it's got two little ones in front of it, so it's 1,100. But that's like it's got different size characters. I couldn't tell whether that was a speech mark.
Oh yeah, it looks like it probably could use some more space to put text there. Mine is something 44 megabytes, but I think part of it is cut off, so it may need a little bit extra space there or something.
Yeah.
I do like it though. It's
You can
easy
click on it and get a whole bunch of more information,
yeah.
but that's sort of internal.
I saw that as well today, but yeah, I think it's quite good because I was thinking, oh, it's not like a normal FPS counter, just numbers. But then I've realised it actually gives you a little time to see spikes. So when you're walking around, you can see, oh, there was just a spike there, and it's still visible for about 3 or 4 seconds. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's far
quite
more
good.
useful when you can see not just the instantaneous, but have a little bit of history behind it, so you can kind of
Yeah.
track changes over time rather than just, oh, what am I getting right this second?
Where are you seeing this, Elaine?
If you press
You hit
F7 on your
F7.
keyboard.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got that. Thanks.
Yeah, useful tool sometimes.
Yeah, we actually have a super complicated version in the editor as well. This is just sort of a very lightweight version, but one in the editor gives us a whole bunch more information. It actually tells us exactly what functions and what objects are using up chunks of that memory, that CPU and GPU time, so you can actually tell what's wrong very precisely. Unfortunately,
We all
it's not
get
something
that,
we
but
can
we
add
just
to the
can't
viewer.
all log into find space with it.
Alicia is saying that not a question, but the sync to UTC and the random weather effects are working perfectly on 2B70 and above. That's good. We actually put somebody specifically on random weather effects to just sort that out a few days ago, or I think last week. We have I don't know. We mentioned Bass. We've been hiring more people, including more QA people, and so we've had more people available where we can give them tasks like that and say, "Go sort out weather effects. Those aren't working."
I guess I did have a question, Josh. At some point, will some of your allocated work for your growing staff be put on what I would call live production support when ScienceSpace goes live?
Absolutely, yeah. Adam's playing with the weather now, but yeah, no, we do have a whole plan for. We're not just adding engineering staff. We do have a whole schedule of adding to different departments as those departments become increasingly in demand. So yeah, more main grid production or support staff is definitely one of the categories that we're going to be growing.
You can employ me to go around breaking stuff if you like.
That's very useful to do. You actually.
I have a question about the weather
It just started
live.
raining.
It did.
Yeah. If the user has the weather, this is just from the creator's point of view for regions, if the user has a lot of control over the different kinds of weather, will that be basically replacing some of the weather elements that are in the editor pack? Is that the idea?
Well, I mean, you can override. It's kind of an added feature. I mean, if you build a region that has
Like if you have
weather
day-night
effects in it,
cycle, will this override that as well? I'm not sure how
Yes,
they'll
it'll
play
override
well
the day-night
together.
cycle.
if you turn it on, you don't have to use it. You don't have to use the override. You can use what was built into the region, and that's not a per user. Only the region owner can change the weather effects. So, like,
Okay.
from a user perspective, you could think of it as if somebody buys your region in the store and goes and makes their own copy of it as a template, maybe they're a user in that sense, but it's really only room owners and administrators who have been granted that permission can turn on those skybox and weather overrides. And if you don't turn them on, then you're still just getting whatever was built into the region. So it's
Okay.
not replacing those in the sense of you should no longer ever use the ones in the editor pack. Use those all you
Okay.
want. They're still the what will be used by default if the region isn't specifically overriding it.
Okay.
But they are a cool option for being able to change the weather in real time or whatever, like during an event. Like, we've had events where it's like, oh, let's have something during the day, and then let's turn it over to nighttime and go party kind of thing. So being able to do that in real time is a very cool. And then when you get done, you can just say turn that off, and it goes back to region default.
Cool. I did see it change in real time, so it is working.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I'm glad they got sorted out. It is a really cool feature. Let's see, we're just about top of the hour here. I've got to run right at 1 o'clock. I don't know if Adam has any spare time, but if you've got any more questions, then got like 2 minutes left here.
Yeah, technically I'm supposed to be working on something else, but I did sneak in here because I forgot this Let's go 1 more minute. I'm going to go crazy.
Yeah, I actually have a Zoom doctor's appointment in 2 minutes, so I have to switch over to that. They're very cranky if you're late, whereas it's okay if they're late.
Well, thanks for coming. We were told you might not make it. Yes.
Yeah, I'm hopefully we'll be able to come in here, like I said, regularly still. It's something we want to do. So I'm glad everybody's is still coming to these and still enjoying these, and we'll see if we can further refine the process a little bit and maybe get them a little bit more focused.
I like Lesar's VIP guest thing. It's a bit like a chat show, and it seems to have gone well.
Yeah,
it's exactly what we were hoping for. So I'm really glad that, because behind the scenes we'd worked really hard on how to sort of approach it and get a format together, Richie, Dixie and myself.
Yeah, it seems to be working well.
It's good that you appreciate it. That means a lot.
Okay, well, I've got to run, so thank you, everyone, and thank you to the community team for taking on this challenge and keeping this going every week. I'm out now. Bye, everyone.
Okay, thanks, Josh and Adam.
Stare at very scary code.
Yeah.
I showed Joshua some of this. It is the least documented and well-written code that I've ever seen in my life. So I'm going to go bang my head on that for 2 hours, and hopefully it'll work.
Oh no.
So right. All right. See
Be
you guys.
kind to your brain cells.
Take care. Bye, Adam. Bye, folks. Okay, so that concludes Office Hours this week. You didn't expect 2 guests, did you? Especially not Adam and Joshua together.
Oh.
Good. Thanks, you
Well
guys.
done, that man.
Not just me. This man is a team. 2 others are beside me. But yeah, it's appreciated. We enjoy doing it, and we're glad that you're having a good time as well. So we'll catch up with you soon. If not before, it'll be next Tuesday for Community Hour.